So I'm going to give a presentation on the project Zdmp, Zero Defects Manufacturing Platform. My name's Stuart Campbell. I'm Director and CEO of Information Catalyst. So we're the manager of the project. We're a SME based in the UK, orientated to software, data and services. Any contact information is at the end, so you can get a hold of me if you wish to do so. First of all, I think perhaps on behalf of everybody, thanks to Chris and his team for kind of swapping around the organisation of this at the last moment. On the bright side, I'm giving this presentation while I'm drinking a cup of tea and I'm sitting here in my slippers, so there are some advantages. So next slide, please. So this is the original, let's say, proposal aim of Zdmp. So lots of nice buzzwords to get the project sponsored. Next. But that's morphed over time to become a little bit more of a user-friendly marketing message. But what we're about is to provide technology, basically, for zero defects. So in terms of the right product, but also the right process. And we will do that through a set of components and applications on a marketplace. And I'll delve into those details as we go along the presentation. Next. This is the infographic of the project. It's reasonably large, but they're all large in this particular call. 30 partners. I think the most notable things are about half of the partnerships are SMEs, split between technology and user SMEs. And overall, 50% of the partnership are basically users. So we're a pretty user-driven project. Another important organization in here is standards representation. So DIN is one of the leading standards organization in Industry 4.0. So we want to do quite a lot of stuff with standards as well. A big project at 90 million euro, and importantly in this, which I also talk about, is we have 3.2 million euros of funding for subcalls. So that's the maximum allowable, basically 20%. So for those of you who are listening or interested in zero defects, please stay tuned on some details about the subcalls. In terms of the partnership, of course, a lot of names, many you know, many you don't. But we've got some big players leading the different pilots we have. We've got essentially 4 or 5 of them. For example, Ford and Fidia, Consortium and Continental, right? So, and of course, apart from that, there's the typical collection of organizations around this. Next. As you probably remember, these were the 4 suggested pillars of the original course. And I'm essentially going to take you through these pillars now of what we're doing about it. But in the diagram on the right, this is our particular platform. So what we've got in our platform is a set of product quality services, process quality services, obviously some core technology, with the end result is that we wish to build zero defect applications, which then deployable in factories. Next. The timeline of the project, as Chris suggested, we're a 4-year project, 1 year in. And we've moved from the spec and tech phase, as I call it. We're now about building the platform. So everybody has been busy this year taking the technology, either some commercial or open source, and making the platform happen. We've completed the first year, and most of those specifications are public, and many of them are on our web portal. So please do take a look at those. Next year, we will move into both the piloting phase and then also the subcalls next year for the remainder of the project. Next. Okay, so here we have the original infographic of the way Zdmp operates, but for some fairly obvious reasons, we decided to change this a few months ago. Next. So now looks something a little bit more like this, but the overall principle is to make a multi-sided platform and marketplace which different actors can participate in. Next. So the overall ideal is at the top, we've got zero defect manufacturers that they want essentially solutions, in our terms, Z apps. And there are 2 parties which kind of can provide those solutions, either on the left from the hardware side of things, or on the right from the software side of things. And of course, there will be many solutions which knit those two things together. We have systems integrators in the lower left-hand corner, which will deploy those systems in factories. And on the right-hand side, we will have infrastructure or equipment providers, which are linking their specific types of equipment and tools into our overall ecosystem. And the whole part of zero defects in the middle is linking all of those parties together in this multi-sided way. Next. In terms of the features of the platform, the ones on the right are some that are of course not the only ones, but this is what we're looking at. We're looking at product and process quality, of course, things like privacy and security, a very important component for us as a kind of commercial marketplace to sell the components and Zdapps and look for opportunities around that. Analytics, of course, but on the left-hand side, you know, there are some other soft features. It's much more geared to SMEs, for example, maybe than some of the other projects, particularly as we have so many SME partners. Practically all of the deliverables are open source in terms of software, and we also have a developer's toolkit to join everything together. And obviously the aim is to be well, I don't know about but a reference digital manufacturing platform for zero defects. Next. We've traveled a path. Next, some of you may know a project called VFOS, and which was itself composed of many projects in the factories of the future domain. And VFOS was about making a series of components in a kind of generic environment to build applications of any type. So I have things like a process designer, a studio, some analytics, some messaging. So what we've done in ZD, next, is take the kind of remnants of that project, which is just finished. So it's I think delivered some good results. We've added some more components to that, taken a few away as well. But primarily we've added to it process quality and product quality, with another important difference being VFOS was a RIA and Zdmp is an innovation action. So obviously much more commercially focused. Next. So by combining all those together, we get to the results of the Zdmp project. Next. This is what it looks like. I'm not going to bore you to death with all work packages and stuff, but this is just to highlight in the middle. We've got the process quality and the product quality. We're doing various things in there, so ranging from resources to energy efficiency, equipment optimization, and product quality at the various stages from modeling to inline inspection. So we're going to have a toolkit of all of these features you see in this slide, which can be merged and morphed together in terms of zero defect applications. Next. We've got several use cases. In fact, we've got 4 major ones in automotive, machine tool, electronics, and construction. We also have a cross-domain demonstrator, which you'll kind of see in a moment, an experimentation facility, and a reference implementation. And particularly the latter two, they're going to be made available for the subcall participants to help them build their own solutions. Next. So this is what the entire user ecosystem looks like. I think it's quite a nice kind of demonstration of the integration of all of these different types of systems, and I think it was, let's say, a nice presentation of the proposal as well. We've got 2 main themes, assembly and provision. So what we've got on the left is a series of machine tool providers. They then are putting their equipment into different types of companies who are, for example, making, in the construction case, their pipes in stone. And in their case, the stone and pipes are going into the final construction operator, which is represented by a company called Consortium. So we've got a very kind of integrated set of cross-domain application we wish to demonstrate as well. Next. So here we've got the use cases. I'm sure Chris is going to make all these presentations available, so you'll be able to look at them in more detail. But a quick flick through, this is obviously an automotive. So here we've got Martin Rear and Ford. They're interested in engine block manufacture and some optimizations during that process in terms of visual inspection. Next. Another use case primarily involving FIDIA and HSD. So one company provides machine spindles, another company is putting those spindles in machines for machining tools. And what they want is kind of a range of things, everything from machine tool failure right through how do we use 3D modeling for protective reasons, basically. Next. The third use case is in electronics. Continental is the main player there, assisted by Mondragon and Alpha. Most of you, I guess, know, like me, Continental for tires, but they do much more than that. So they make instrument clusters in Romania. So what they want is a use case primarily looking at the electronics test in X-ray inspection. Next. Then finally, back to construction. Here we've got an example at the bottom of stone. We've got several kind of pretty small SMEs involved there, and they are providing goods into Consortium, which is a consultancy for construction. Interesting case, this one, in the stone manufacturer, a piece of stone can be, let's say, amazingly good quality, and the same piece of stone can be amazingly bad quality. The crack in that stone could be a great feature, or it could be a real disappointment. So that provides some interesting zero defects problems to analyze. Next. So we have a core, I mentioned, 3.2 million. You also see on this slide eFactory as well. My colleague Asman, who also works for ICE, will introduce eFactory. But the details of the core are highlighted here. We're just going through the final stages of the processes. So we expect to publish more information on that during the next months. If you're interested in that, you can sign up on our website already to make sure you'll get all the material. But we've got quite a lot of money to give away, but it is really orientated to SMEs. Next. So here we hope to involve users, asking for new requirements of zero defects, technology companies providing them, losing time a bit. So we'll skip on. Chris, next. Some more details in the presentation about the timeline for this. So please take a look and make sure you're prepared. And I'm going to close up with I4FS. So next slide, Chris. So during the proposal time, we had several kind of innovations. And one of those innovations listed at the end was we said we would set up an exploitation company within the project to exploit it. We tried to set that up at month 48, but the commission persuaded us M9 would be better. Next. And so we've now formed this company, which also came from a similar initiative in BFOS, and that's called I4 Factory Solutions Limited. Next. So this company was incorporated in the last quarter of last year. So there are several members of that already. So the ideal is to have a real company to exploit the project results. And I present this also because it's of interest in maybe in other kind of projects and activities as well. Next. That's us. We've started off a website, not much there at the moment, but the idea is to make it as a real kind of professional entity, a proper commercial organization, not a fake one, but it's early stages yet. But if you're interested, please contact me. Next. There are 7 partners from the 2 projects involved: ASK, ICE, CMS, spin-off from the UPV, and we expect other companies to join and be involved in various roles and advisory board, etc. Next. I think the other interesting thing for you to know, of course, we set up the company, but we will make this company as a beneficiary to the project as well, provided the commission lets that happens. Next. And we've also mandated the existing partners to provide funding to that company to kind of help it to help it operate and make sure it's a solid partner. So all of that is pretty much in place. So all the infrastructure is in place for the company, but now we just need to get Zdmp to deliver its results. I4FS will then run a marketplace for the applications, and hopefully we can make some commercial business of this in the project. Next. So that's the end of the Zdmp presentation. There are a few other slides with some background information, but if you have any questions, my details are there as well. So if you have any questions, please do contact us and see how you can participate. And I particularly remind you that the sub calls are coming up during the last part of this year, so please do pay attention to that.